Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 2 of episode 4 on the Racing Topic podcast. This special edition coming to you live after the horrific events of the Kartstars round 1 event at Goodwood. And as you can see, I once again have a bunch of Briggs senior drivers with me. We have Adrian Cornelius, the driver of the number 314, Michael Ing. Michael Ing, the driver of the number 338 for Karts and Parts. And once again, 2 returnees as well representing Karts and Parts, the 339, Jake Cowden, and the 326, Ethan Waters. So, boys, as you can also see by my background, and after the events that we saw this weekend, we're lucky to be alive.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. So, I mean, well, I know you three under the Karts and Parts tent, that was horrific, as a lot of people have seen on social media with, it just started like, we're all there. We're getting ready for our pre-final after the first 2 heats. And then we start to realize, like, we keep looking up at the sky and, it's not looking good. It's like, okay, it's not going to miss us. We're obviously going to get rained on, but we're not thinking to this magnitude, even though it looks bad. Of course, it's going to pour rain, but like, and then it just starts coming down, and then the wind picks up.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected those wins except Zach Bohm.
Yeah.
He's the only one that packed up.
Somehow,
yeah,
exactly.
I know, right? Like, oh, I can't.
Yeah, no, because you see these like warnings on like the weather apps all the time, like severe thunderstorm. Like I didn't get like severe tornado or hurricane or anything. I got severe thunderstorm. So I was like, okay, it's just maybe it'll rain a little harder, but I did not expect what actually happened.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, I saw the dark clouds coming in and I just assumed it would be like heavy rain. But yeah, the wind kind of just started, and then like we were grabbing onto the tent just so it doesn't fly away, and then the wind just kept increasing more and more to the point that like we realized that there's no saving it.
Yeah.
Which yeah, that was fun.
Also, for everybody that just heard that, sounds like the storm's still going on with all the sirens blaring outside and
I
everything.
might need to close my window.
Oh man, yeah, just another whole thing of the remnants, because it wasn't just the track as well. Guys out there, it was like Uxbridge got hit the worst by far out of like any town in southern Ontario and stuff like that. It suffered the most damage throughout parts of the town. We had roofs ripped off of houses. You had multiple, and I mean multiple, trees come down onto power lines, multiple areas, and kilometers with power out, and even cars got flipped over, which is unbelievable to show you what the magnitude of what Mother Nature is capable of. And
supposedly this was 1,000 kilometers long, and the worst, the part that got hit the worst was supposedly Uxbridge, and Goodwood, where we were at, was actually approximately 10-15 kilometers away from the worst hit part, which was Uxbridge.
Wow.
So we were right near the worst part of it.
So I'm gonna actually go over to Michael, because I know you were also well, actually, no, I should go back to Jake first, because you were the first one to really start videoing the whole thing. So
yeah,
take it away from your perspective.
Well, like I mentioned before, first things first, I checked the weather, right? It says there's going to be rain, said like 100% chance of rain, said thunderstorm warning. I didn't think anything of it. I get those thunderstorm warnings like all the time. I thought it was just going to be a little heavier rain, maybe some thunder, worst case, some lightning. And I figured, if it starts raining hard, maybe we'll have a break. At this point, we were on pre-grid, so we were getting the cart ready. But at this point, we had all our tires off. We weren't sure if it was going to be rain or slicks. We didn't know. Then next thing you know, I get the Amber Alert on my phone. So does everyone else. I look at it and I had a little bit nervous, but I'm like, yeah, it'll probably be nothing, Then next thing you know, it starts spitting rain. And then within like 30 seconds, starts pouring rain. So I moved some stuff just under the tent. At this point, it wasn't that windy. I jump into the trailer just to take some cover from the rain. Everyone was kind of under the tent. Next thing you know, I took my phone out. I was just taking a video of the rain. Then all of a sudden, the wind just picked up. And then after maybe about 20, 30 seconds, the first tent just collapsed on top of Ethan and his dad. Then at that point, Michael's dad ran into our trailer. The trailer was like shaking. And then the next tent collapsed. Then we all run in, and then everyone was in the trailer except for my dad. So so I run out. I tell my dad to. My dad's still like holding onto the tent. He's trying to hold it down, right? I'm like, Dad, let go. Come on in. And like the tent like flew by us. And then next thing in my I'm sorry. Next thing, I don't know what I said there. Next thing I know, my dad lets go of the tent. The tent goes like flying, crashing over on top of my go-kart. My go-kart like flips over on top of the tents. I like run back into the trailer. I see something out of the corner of my eye, like flatten myself against the trailer, and like a tent goes like right by my head. I run back into the trailer. Then I notice my dad's still not there, and I'm like freaking out. Where's my dad? So I like peek my head out the window or out the door, and I can't see my dad. And I'm like, oh my God, is he like under the tents? I was like so scared. So I run out there, and like the door slams behind me in the wind with probably enough force to like really hurt somebody. And I don't see my dad, and I'm freaking out. So I run and like go to look under the tents. Then I see my dad behind the trailer. So I went and I ducked away behind the trailer with my dad. And yeah, we kind of just waited it out. Then all of a sudden I look up and I see the trees like the derooted from the ground, all the trees on the grid. It was crazy. And then my dad and I just sat behind the trailer, and the trailer was like being pushed back, by the way. And we were scared, but it was that's my side of it. That's how it went for me.
Jeez. Wow. Unbelievable. And I even heard, and I'll get Ethan your take on it as well. You said when you guys ran in there, because Jake was the first one in, and then you also had to run in there. And as we can see from the video clip, that you guys were still trying to put stuff away, and then the tent blew away, and then
Yeah, it was
you guys had to
pretty
run in the
pretty
trailer.
horrifying because in the video it looks like I just get snatched by the tent, but like really I've been trying to hold on to it because there's a couple of guys to our right that like I didn't want the tent to fly into because all their carts were there and their tents too. So I'm trying to hold on to the tent until like maybe something calms down. But then eventually I just had to let it go because like it was too strong and I don't want to get pulled away by the tent. And I just run in with everybody else. But eventually I had to let go. So
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and I guess Michael, the same goes for you as well, because you were right there and stuff like that, pretty much same thing.
Yeah, I just started moving my stuff under the tent, and then we're taking off the tires. I just remember it's raining hard. Then the wind picked up, and then it started hailing, and then all I remember is that the tent like kind of carried us away, and then we just had to let go, and we all ran into the trailer. It's bad.
Oh man. So all right. Yeah. And it's just like with all you guys there and stuff like that, it's a miracle that no one got hurt, especially with because it was like what, 3 separate tents that was set up all
3
around your area.
tents. Yeah.
Oh geez.
Yeah, we had we have like these big long screws that we like drive into the ground, and like they're not even nails, they're screws, so they have all the threads that are kind of holding them in the ground. And each tent had 2 of them, like each peg, so that's 6 on a tent. So it had let me do some math here. It had 12 of those big screws on each tent, and
And it ripped them right out.
ripped them like clean
Wow.
out. And they're like about, what would you say, Michael, like a foot long each? Maybe
Yeah,
not
they're
quite,
pretty
but
long.
yeah, they're like really long screws.
yeah, they're pretty big, and like ripped them all out. Actually, one corner held in when it first collapsed on Ethan and his dad.
Yeah.
You can see it in my video. The whole tent is like flapping around in the wind, and it's like being held in by that one corner. Yeah.
Jeez. Wow. Unreal. So that's the part where yeah. So that's the KNP story right there, I guess you could say. And I know and this was actually a question because I was also asking I was on the phone with Susan Taylor earlier, who is the mother of Brennan Taylor, who everybody else knows is another member of the Karts and Parts team. And she actually said that Lonnie Herder, who's your team boss, actually ordered some new tents just before that.
Yeah.
Were those them?
Nope.
No,
he
Oh,
just ordered new covers. Like
Oh,
they
okay.
have holes in them and stuff already. So yeah.
That's pretty fortunate.
Yeah.
well, what was like really surprising is that there's like 6 of us in the trailer, and it was still shaking. Like it was like shaking hard too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it was
trailer
Like
was
we
actually
thought it was gonna tip.
it was actually moving backwards. My dad and I were behind it, and it was actually like pushing us forward. We were like leaned
Wow.
back against it, and the whole trailer, I believe it was chalked too. It was like moving towards us. Yep. Yeah, and then just like all kinds of things were just flying by. It
Oh
was like
man.
it was mainly smaller things that were flying by, but like 50-pound toolboxes like blew off our tables, and didn't one land on your foot, Michael, when you were running in?
Yeah, Jason Rothman's, because I was trying to hold down the tent and his table is set up like right beside one of the corners. I was holding the corner down and his toolbox like fell off right on my foot. Like a really big toolbox, yeah.
So
Yeah. So Chad, tell us about your side over by the Goodwood tent.
all right. Well, there's a lot to get through in this one. So we're there. We just started to take off the rear tires. And then Jordan DeLeo and Nathan Dupree and their fathers and their carts, respectively, all run in to the tent to start changing around their stuff. That and it's pouring rain out. And they were on the grid. I'll get to that in a bit. Well, actually, no, Jake just touched on it. But so we're in there, and no sooner are they in there, and Frank DeLeo actually just left to go get something. And the whole tent moves like 3 feet when that first gust of wind hit, and it knocked over 75% of the tables and like toolboxes and stuff that was in there. So everything like fell over, and all you hear is like the clanging of metal and everything. And then you have like Kyle Rennie, Marco DeLeo, Nate, Todd Dupree, Dan DeLeo, Dale Bonham, all trying to hold the tent down. They're yelling like, hold the tent down, hold the tent down. So we're holding this bloody thing down. You know, I'm holding onto the end where it's not really getting blown by the wind, but you know, we're still trying to hold it, and it just keeps like, it felt like something was like pushing it, like some physical object was pushing it, because it kept going up and moving, and we're all screaming and stuff trying to hold this thing. It's moving so much, it's ramming into the carts and pushing it forward. We're getting closer and closer to the fence by this point. And then I finally start to see it go up in the air again, and there's Kyle Rennie up in the air holding it, and he's off the ground. And then that's when he and Dale Bonham yell, all right, everybody get out, it's going. So I turn around, I see Nathan Dupree right in front of me there, right where one of the two zip exits was. And I signal forward like this with my hand, and I shout at the top of my lungs, go, 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 because we know it's going. So yeah, we book it out of there. No sooner do we book it out of there, the tent like literally starts to go up and like, you know, really starts to get taken away by the wind. And we just got missed by like the top beams coming down and stuff like that. I run into just about to go into the scale house. I turn my head right to look beside me, and all I see is like 3 tents just like already folding over, getting taken by the wind, and a bunch of other stuff coming. So I just book it in there, unlock the door, get in there, shut the door, almost trapped myself because I got one of my sleeves from my race suit stuck in the door. I had to open it again, get myself free, close it again in a panic. And then I stop. I catch my breath for like 10 seconds, and other people are also trying to get in here. I go upstairs. I look out in the scale, and it looked like a bomb went off. Like just the remains, everything pushed against the fence, the tent's broken and everything. Like it looked like we were in the middle of something that happened in World War II. It was just like, I've arguably never been so scared in my life. And I've never seen anything that crazy in my entire life before. And the fact that we're lucky, if we held onto that tent for another 5 to 10 seconds, we would have been going with it. And we'll show it on the video clip here as well.
Sorry to interrupt. That tent, Chad, is held by like these giant 45.
Yeah, I was gonna say
45 gallon or liter. I don't know what it is. Like drums, like filled with water.
And they're the size of the Goodwood.
Those are
garbage cans.
heavy.
Yeah, those are heavy.
Like how heavy would you say it is, Chad? Like,
well, I really don't know. I know I've filled them up before, and they're really, really hard to move. So
what would you say? Like estimate, like 200, 250 pounds each?
I guess you could say that, yeah, or something like that.
And how many of them are holding it down?
I think 4, maybe 2, but I thought 4 of them were holding them down. And these things are ratcheted down as well, so they're secure. And this thing still came up. So
Yeah, it was,
you know, it was just,
it's not like those cheap tents either, like that are just like frames. Okay, so me.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, everybody.
yeah.
The Zoom meeting cut off.
No, so yeah, as I was just saying, it's just like your tents are proper, like it's a proper tent. Like you have all the metal holes and structuring, and still managed to get pulled away by such strong winds, and you guys probably had like 50 guys trying to hold down the tent too.
Yeah, there was so many of us in there, and it's not like, and again, I don't want anybody to take this wrong way, but it's like, Todd Dupree, Kyle Rennie, Mark Adaleo, they're not small guys, man. These are pretty big men, and they're holding down on this tent. Like I said, there's a lot of us in there trying to hold this thing, and it's not staying down. The wind's just getting underneath it and taking it, and just like, oh, it was absolutely surreal to be in there. It was scary, and it was loud as hell. So that was like insane. And that was, I think, possibly the biggest tent in the entire paddock. So yeah, that was
definitely.
sure.
quite scary. So now I guess we'll go on to, because that was my part of the story and all that. Actually, one more thing before we head over to you, Adrian, is my uncle as well. Trevor Reeve had to, like, when that thing was coming, he actually didn't get out of the tent nearly as quickly as I did. He had to, because it was going when he was trying to get out, and he actually ended up going through one of the small gates right there in the fence, and then tucked down on his hands and knees as the tent flew over him and, like, went over the fence with it. And it also started to make, the fence started to collapse.
Yeah,
so he had to
it,
get out
it
of there.
took down the fences. Like
Yeah.
if you look in the picture behind
Oh yeah,
Chad here,
yeah.
like
I
it,
don't know
it
if I
took
can
down
move,
the
but
fence.
yeah.
You can see.
Yeah,
It took
you
down the
just
fence right there.
Yeah, you just
As you
imagine what
can
that could
see.
do to like a person,
Yeah, I know. So, and I know Santiago
are-
Ramirez's
sorry.
mother got hit in the head
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
afterwards, while she was also trying to escape. So, and I know a lot of us when we were in the scale house, well, one kid in particular, he was like really, really scared and like crying and hyperventilating. Like, and
Well, there was a lot to be scared
Yeah,
about.
I know,
Like
yeah.
that was
like,
Mhm.
I grabbed him, I gave him a hug, I looked right at him, I was like, hey, you're okay. Like, we're gonna make it through this. You'll be fine. But just wait for it to be over, okay? But yeah, he was really like almost losing it. So it was, and I don't condemn him for it. Like, that was really, really scary. So now, Adrian, we're gonna pass it on to you, because I'm pretty sure you're also at the top of the hill, right?
I was, yeah. So I was like kind of the first side, I guess, of Goodwood to get hit by it. So like I just finished speaking to Zach Bohm, and he was like, oh, he said that he put all his stuff away. And then as I was walking back to where we were parked, the rain started. So I started like running over quickly just to not be rained on. And I immediately like grabbed tools to just start like making our rain setup changes. But then right before the rain really picked up, I decided to just quickly throw a bunch of stuff that we had into the car just so it wouldn't all get soaked. And then basically I started taking off some of the wheels on like the right side of my cart. So I basically, by the end of the day, I had like a dry setup on the left and a wet setup on the right, because I had to drop everything to jump and hold the tent down. And like on the beginning, it wasn't really that bad. We were like managing it. My dad and I, we were both holding one of the legs. And then it kind of like increasingly got worse. And then at one point, I'm pretty sure the tent had like a 45-degree angle, and I was just like really leaned over to try and hold on to it. And we have like these the massive like pegs that are like stainless steel, and they're super thick, and they're probably like a foot and a half long. And so I think that's what kept the tent kind of pinned to the ground. But at the same time, the whole basically structure, like the whole frame of the tent, was just crumpling around us. And then at one point, the peg actually like let go, and we had like a side cover in the direction that the wind was blowing, and that side cover kind of like wrapped around me. And then when the tent let go, I kind of went with it.
Oh,
So I flew probably, I don't know, like between 5 to 10 feet with it, just like tumbling. And then I got untangled, and I was just kind of on the ground. I quickly got up, and then I just saw the whole tent was basically tangled around my cart, but somehow none of the like metal parts of it were touching my cart. So somehow I think my cart came out of it unscathed, which is good. And like it didn't fall, which I was really thankful for, because I know a lot of carts did fall from tents hitting it and stuff like that. So and then I saw my dad, and he was like getting himself untangled. And the weird thing is like I don't remember like any of the sound. It's just like my dad was screaming at me to like do something, and I didn't hear a word he was saying, even though he wasn't really that far away from me, because it was so just like the wind and the rain was just so loud. And now like I'm thinking back when I was holding down the tent, I was kind of looking on like from the top of the hill onto where the track was, and I was thinking to myself after that, it's like, how did I not see the tree fall down and like all the tents go flying? But now like watching videos back from other people, I can see that like there was basically zero visibility just because the rain and the wind was so like aggressive that you just didn't see anything. And then half my stuff ended up at the bottom of the hill, like my wheels that I was just switching ended up like on the pavement by like the trailers, basically by the grid. So I was like on a scavenger hunt basically to try and find all my stuff, but like I was okay. Like I somehow came out of it unscathed despite like flying with the tent. My dad got a little bit of a hit on the head, but he was fine. And then yeah, when the tent let go, I just remember that like within 2 seconds I was completely soaked because the rain was coming down just so hard. And then yeah, it was crazy because as quickly as it came, it pretty much just it finished just as fast. Like after the main windstorm, like I don't know, maybe 5 minutes later, basically there was no more wind, which was crazy.
Yeah, you how you touched on how you didn't see the trees fall over. My dad and I were literally probably the closest ones at the track to the trees. We were about like 10 feet away, facing the trees, and there was so much going on. Like you could hear nothing but the wind like howling. It was crazy. We didn't even see the trees fall over or hear the trees fall over, and we were facing the trees. Like that's how bad it was. Like if the wind was coming the other way, we wouldn't have been standing on that side, but it would have crushed our trailer and our whole team. Like that's how
we
close
were
to
talking
the
about it with
trees.
my dad, that it's like if the wind was just in any other direction other than the direction that it was blowing, it would have been like probably 10 times worse, because if it went left or right compared to like when you're looking onto the track from the paddock, trailers would have potentially flipped over, because I know at Mossport some trailers tipped over. If it was blowing the opposite direction like completely, then the tree could have fallen basically on you guys.
Yeah, in that Goodwood tent would have went on top of like the rest of the paddock.
Exactly, yeah, and it wouldn't have stopped, I imagine.
That's what I was gonna say, because
that
the
would
wind
have
was
gone
blowing.
all the way like up over the hill into the forest. I guarantee. Like the only reason it stayed put is because it got like jammed up against the fence.
Yeah. So the weird thing was like when it was all kind of happening, like the worst of it, I don't even remember being scared. I was just like concerned over like what was happening. It was like kind of, I don't know if it's like too much to say, but it was like fight or flight, just like to try and figure out what to do to try and make the best of the situation. And then like after it calmed down, I was like, oh my gosh, like that was really crazy, like really dangerous. But
yeah, well, we're just lucky that we all came away unscathed for the most part.
Exactly. You know,
like people were killed from that in different parts of Ontario. So considering how many loose metal heavy objects and tents were flying, go-karts were flying, we are all very fortunate that we were okay from that.
And I will say it also like happened at a bad time as well. Well, I mean, even then it's like when this happens, you know, everybody's loosening stuff on their carts,
everyone's like focused on their go-kart.
Then when this massive gust of wind comes, stuff's loose and it's gonna come off and it's gonna go flying. And we saw that. Like we're really lucky that nobody got like seriously messed up because of all that flying debris and stuff like that. And you know, and I always joke about this afterwards, is miraculously, even with like, because I know almost all the carts in the Goodwood tent fell off of their stand after like the tent went, it pushed everything to the fence and flipped over. So it took pretty much everything with it. My cart miraculously just got pushed, went a bit crooked on the stand, and that was it. It stayed, and everything in the seat, same with the camera, stayed right mounted. Everything on that thing stayed perfectly, no damage. I can't believe that thing walked out of there unscathed. Like you look at one of the videos of just walking around the paddock and looking at all the destruction, you just see this 320 cart just randomly there, just sitting okay on the stand right next to the fence. It's like, wow, that literally survived. And another good thing as well, and I'll even ask you guys about this in a second, my toolbox just fell backwards. So when it fell backwards, of course, you know, whatever was in the top, because the top drawer, or the top of it, the top hatchet opened and everything kind of fell out of that, but not too far. But the drawers they just went back like that and they stayed close. So all of our personal belongings, keys, wallet, phone, and all that stuff just stayed, and it was okay. So I'll ask you guys about that now. What about your personal belongings? Was that like all in your toolbox, or was it in your car? Like where were all your belongings and stuff?
My toolbox, so the top of my toolbox, it was on my table, and it flew from the carts and parts tent all the way to the grid, basically where the tree was. Like it flew all the way to the fence. That's right next to the track. And the toolbox had like weights in it too. So I'm surprised it even flew that far. Because it's literally just like flat on the table. And even if it just like, got like thrown off, like I had tires that stayed. Like tires that were just on the ground flat and they didn't move an inch.
Wow.
But the toolbox somehow miraculously flew all the way to the track, which was like really, really surprising.
Yeah, so I'll go next. Our gear. So I'll start with the cart. As I was talking about before, our cart got kind of tangled up with a tent, got taken away, and it got like it was kind of in the middle of all the tents were like crushed together in a heap. Um, my cart was like almost upside down, but not quite. It was kind of being like held in between all the tents in the stand. I had all my gear in the seats, so like my helmet, my gloves, head sock, my rib vest, all in the seat. And it all stayed in the seat. It was like balanced on the side. So I got lucky that because right underneath was like this mud puddle. All the water had pooled up. It was like maybe half a foot deep. It was pretty messy. But all my gear stayed in the seat. Our toolbox and our tools. That's a different story. They blew off the table completely into that mud puddle.
Oh,
So all our tools, nuts, bolts, clutch parts, all of that were in this mud puddle, completely submerged. Like like I don't think there was basically anything left in our toolbox, which weighs over 50 pounds, blew off the table. And yeah, our tire gauge, we have one of those electronic ones. It got submerged in the water. I have it actually. I dismantled it and it's in rice upstairs right now. Trying to get the water out of it, trying to salvage it. But yeah, that's what happened with my gear.
sheesh.
Yeah, with my stuff, like we pretty much put away half of our major belongings. Like we put away the chairs quickly before the rain started, and we have like milk crates of just parts that we use and to like switch setups and stuff like that. So pretty much all we had was the two toolboxes, two tables, and my actual racing gear, so my helmet, my gloves, and stuff like that. And everything pretty much flew. Our toolboxes all fell, and they were all dented and stuff, and all the stuff just flew everywhere. And then we have like a jar of nuts and bolts, and that just ended up everywhere. And then yeah, like I touched on earlier, my wheels ended up like on the pavement far away. But somehow the cart didn't even move. I don't think, like, it didn't fall off the stand. I don't think it even rolled away, which I'm not really sure how. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. For me too, like I don't know. All my stuff got like pulled by the tent and towards like where Jake was seated. It's like it got pulled like a couple feet, and then I know like all my gear, like my helmet and stuff, was in a chair, and that tipped over, and then a table like fell right on my helmet too. And then I know all my parts. Actually, we put all away our parts, so our parts were fine. They just got soaked in water, so just had to wipe them off so they didn't rust. And then I know one of my tires were like under Ethan's cart and stuff too.
Yeah,
Nothing too
and
significant.
your cart was on the ground, like
Oh,
jammed in the
Yeah,
stand.
yeah, my cart got like caught in the stand and in the tent. It was like bad.
jeez.
But I think between our carts, like overall, nothing got like
Nothing. Yeah,
badly
nothing.
damaged. Like
Yeah,
no parts need to be replaced, as far as I know.
That's a good
yeah.
thing.
If anything, just an alignment needs to be checked,
Mhm.
and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, for those of you watching, if you're a little bit newer to karting, make sure to like drain the bowls of your carburetors, clean out your carburetors. Because if you
Yes.
didn't have a rain cover on that, that can wreck your engine from the water getting in there. So if you don't know, if you're like newer to the sport, talk to someone knowledgeable about it, and they'll tell you what to do and make sure your engine's all safe.
And I can assure you that like probably 95% of the paddock got like with how long the rain lasted and everything. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff, a lot of water probably like in the motors and stuff like that. So it's definitely probably gonna have to take a little bit to just, kind of run it out. And then it's like, all right, just check everything, make sure it's all right.
And hope the engines survived.
Yeah, exactly. Hope the
Yeah.
engine survived. Make sure it's just all good after that. And hopefully it's still as powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. With me, I really didn't lose that much, but I think I lost one of my practice tires. I don't know where that went. I only lost one of my Allen keys. I actually lost the air filter off my cart. I think that went with the tent when it flipped and almost took everything with it. And I lost my helmet bag, unfortunately. So that definitely blew away. Yet everything that was in the helmet bag was right there on the ground, but the bag itself, that's probably halfway to Kingdom Come by now. So I don't know. It's probably stuck in some tree somewhere. I don't know, man. But most of the stuff stayed intact and everything. Like I said, my video camera that was mounted on my cart stayed intact. God, I wish I had that recording when all that happened. That would have made for some fantastic footage. But what can you do? It's a split-second decision, and when you're told to get out, you got to get out. So, I mean, yeah. And I also know the property did sustain a lot of damage. We'll show pictures of it too here. We were all like amazed by what we saw. Of course, the uprooted trees, 4 of them across the grid, like we mentioned earlier. Another tree was down in turn 2. It was like half broken. I think it was stuck on top of the other trees. By turn 3, a whole section of the fence separating the track from the road is gone, or just knocked over, just sitting on the opposite side of the hill.
Yeah, it blew into the trees behind it, I believe. I believe it was still standing up from what I saw from the other side of the track.
Okay.
It was just like up against the trees. Yep.
So that was there. There's another tree down by turn 10. Another tree down, like you said, Adrian, by your pit, and it just actually missed Javier Ruiz's car. Thank goodness for that.
It actually fell in between 2 cars exactly.
Yeah, that
and none of the
ended up
cars
being
had any
quite lucky.
damage.
Yep. A tree went down right by the Goodwood building where we all go to sign in.
Mhm.
Fell on a Jeep, and I think it was a Volkswagen.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And there was a live power, like a telephone pole,
Pole.
smaller one, fell right down on top of a car with live, like I said, live wires.
Yeah.
So the fire department came in, lights flash and sirens on. They came in, and Hydro One came, and we had an electrician at the track, one of the fathers of the racers, and he kind of evaluated the situation beforehand, and I heard him giving Dan kind of the rundown of what was going on with it.
Mhm. So
But we should get to the more positive part about how everyone kind of came together and helped clean the track back up.
that was really good. Like almost instantly, you could just see everybody working to like in almost no time at all. It was like, wow. I mean, of course, yeah, the fence is still damaged and all that stuff. Like, of course, that's the remains, but like the regular part of the paddock, it's like, wow, everything's almost completely cleaned up after that. And then,
It- No, I was gonna say it was crazy because like within an hour or 2 of it all happening, there's already like excavators or whatever the
Yeah.
machinery there was, and people with chainsaws and lifting stuff, and everyone was kind of working together to clean things up really quickly. And yeah, it was pretty cool to see how within an hour or 2 everything was already trying to be fixed.
Mhm.
So that was cool.
So
Yeah,
And-
just shows how much we all love racing, and
Yeah.
everyone at the track wanted to get back to racing.
we would have, but unfortunately, the unfortunate product of it is even if we did go racing the next day, this is just from my opinion, I thought it was the right call to not go right again the next day. Because thinking about it rationally, and yes, they were doing a really good job of cleaning up, the track, the trees that fell down and stuff like that with the chainsaw like that. Like I was there until about like 6-7 o'clock at night, and they had made a substantial amount of progress on just clearing that stuff out where you could probably fit carts on the grid again. Now, of course, the power's still out and that power line's still down. So that's a huge problem. So you don't have timing and scoring. And it's a rainy day today as well. So everybody's going to come out and 95% of people don't have tents. So everything's going to get completely soaked. So that's another big problem that we're facing. And just the fact is like people are still missing stuff. And, everybody's got to get their alignments checked out and stuff like that. Like you said, Michael, you don't know what the damage is to your carts and what you're missing and all that stuff.
There was lots of carts flipped over too.
Yeah. So
like right off the stand.
like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it just can't really be all undone in a day. And then we get right back to it. So I know a lot of people were for it, but realistically, it just didn't seem like it could happen.
No, because not everyone had intact equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
Tools missing, like tires missing, carts damaged, right? And like you said, no tents. It was pouring rain today.
So, yeah, that happened.
Even if it's raining or it's just super warm and sunny, no tent is not really the best, just because you're either going to get sunburned or drenched with water. So
yeah. And and also the fact that it's like there's just a lot of damage there, and you don't want safety to become a thing, with that fence still out. I'm not sure how long that would have taken to repair and all that. So, I mean, and it's just also the fact that it's a Kartstars race and we have so many people from out of town here as well, like from Point Peely and stuff. Like, that's not a short drive. That's 4 hours out of their way to come out here and everything. And, again, it was pitched that we could possibly continue on Monday, but that's going to make you lose a bunch of entries. And that's also not fair for the people that came out all the way, because not only was their time and possible money wasted, but now there goes your whole race worth of points. So it virtually takes you out of the championship. So unfortunately, the only logical conclusion to this weekend was either cancel the events outright and just basically give everybody the same amount of points, or postpone it. That was the only two outcomes that I saw that were possible.
I think the decision that was made, I'm sure not everyone's going to agree with it, but I think it was probably the best decision just based off of everything that happened and like the circumstance of the whole situation. So
yeah,
I mean, I think it was fair just because everybody left evenly. And if it was 0 points, then I guess that would count as one of your race drops, like for the championship, for at least for track.
Yeah.
So that, again, wouldn't be the most fair. I know for the people that didn't show up for the Kartstars race, they're kind of now at a disadvantage because everyone that participated just automatically essentially got a race win worth of points, and everyone that didn't show up is now at 0 for that day.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's tough to make up that gap, but I have I'm pretty sure most of the people that were at Kartstars are regulars for the track series. I know there's a few people that couldn't make it, but I mean, you can't really make the best situation for everybody. There's always going to be someone that disagrees with the decision.
Yeah, of course. And again, it's like, this is a freak accident. Like, even Kyle Rennie said it. It's like 90 years of this track, and they've never seen that weather like that before. Like, this was the first time, and possibly once in a lifetime, that you're ever going to see that again. It's like, can we predict that was going to happen? No way. That was completely out of nowhere. Even, with Amber Alerts and stuff like that, a maximum people had that stuff 10 minutes in advance. And even then, you got radars that are telling you one thing and another. Oh, it's going to miss us. Oh, it's going to be right on top of us. But again, like we said, most of it was just saying thunderstorms. And even that was the whole thing leading up into the weekend. And then it looked like it was going to clear up. And it wasn't until like later on in the day, just before that, that we actually found out it was going to rain, much less what actually happened. So.
Well, I know too that most sport even got it worse than us.
Yes.
They got 2 tornadoes instead of apparently we got 1, so.
Well, apparently, hold on, I'm gonna have to look at the term here.
I was
so
going
you
to
guys
say,
can
yeah,
continue on, but
you
it's
texted that us to earlier. What was the
Yeah.
term of this
I'm
thing called?
I'm just looking it up right now. It started with a D. It was called a I don't know. My dad looked into it. And it was classified as, hold on, let me find it here. It's like a Derico, I think it was called. Which basically is It's a like a kind of storm that can produce like hurricane tornado level winds, but it's only going in one direction, and apparently it needs to be like perfect conditions for that to happen. And clearly it was the weather's perfect conditions, because it went 1,000 kilometers like across Ontario all the way to Quebec. Started in Windsor, went to like the Quebec border, Ottawa. um yeah.
It hit most of southern Ontario, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I know. I think like more towards the east side of Ontario got it the worst though, because I know one of our friends down in Toronto said you just got winds for like 2 seconds, a little bit of rain, and that was it. And then I know like Markham too, which is a town just right by Uxbridge, didn't get it that bad either.
I think we were like really
Yeah,
in
and
like
like
the center of it. Like we were
Yeah.
in the absolute worst.
yeah,
Yeah,
how
like
was your drive home for everybody? Were you just
Jeez.
Oh,
blocked by
just
every single
dodging
road? 'Cause-
trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
personally, there were there weren't really many trees down on our way home. There's actually a bunch of like trees down in our neighborhood, but nothing blocking the road. But our power was out. My house, from, I believe people said it went out around 1 o'clock, and it was down until I think like it was either 10:30 or 11:30. I was already asleep, but it was down for a long time, like 9 hours. Um, yeah, like one of my friends, soft topping, one of my friends works at our Walmart nearby, and they had to throw out, I think it was $50,000 worth of meat because we had
Oh
no power.
no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's a stock market nightmare right there, man.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry to cut you off, Jake. I know coming back home from Goodwood, originally the route that we take is, you turn right off of Wag Road because you actually can't turn left and go up to Maine because they're doing construction there now. Unfortunately, bad timing for that. So you either take the concession road all the way to it, or you end up going the Highway 48 route. And that's what we normally come down by. And there was already a bunch of caution tape just a bit further down the road. So we couldn't go through that. So we had to completely go a different route. We go down that way, and there's like, we can see trees and stuff down. And then as we get out onto the main streets and stuff, going into the town of Aurora, there's multiple street lights out, like fast food, the restaurants and everything there. There's no power. It's just like
Yeah. I
dark.
I live in Aurora, so that's
Yeah.
that's what was going on. Yeah, one of our main streets, Wellington, all the way probably like maybe like 2-3 kilometers of road is closed, which is like a major part. It's causing lots of traffic where I live. Um, but there's power lines down on the road. I can send you some pictures later. Maybe you can put them on the podcast. But
Yeah.
like they've been down since yesterday, and I just went to check it out today, and they're still down. There's still like lots of people working on it, and they're like completely snapped off, knocked over, blocking the whole road. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, we had power lines down. Like when we were trying to leave, we had to turn around twice actually to try and find a different road because I guess the city was just working on removing trees from the road, and then I saw like the whole power line system actually fell onto the road. So like again, we had to turn around. So yeah, the one of the city workers said it's a state of emergency like in the area. I don't know if there was like an official state of emergency or is that maybe that was just like wording choice, but yeah, they didn't let us pass. And they had some pretty big construction equipment to try and clear the roads. And even on the roads that were clear, you kind of had to go through like the shoulder, like through almost a ditch to just get around the trees that were fallen. But eventually we made it to, I think it's Bloomington, the main road, to come back to the 404, and all the lights were out up until the 404, like all of kind of the Stouffville area, or basically the whole stretch from Goodwood to the 404. There was no power for a bunch of people. So yeah.
Unreal, man. And yet here in Newmarket, or not, well, Newmarket as well, but also Hall Landing, where I'm at right now, we had power. They didn't really get it that bad. It was only like what, like 5 to 15 minutes of just like heavy rain, but like no super hard winds or tornadoes or anything. It just, so I mean, what can you
Yeah,
do,
like
man?
we're by Mississauga, and like we were talking to our neighbors, and they just said it was just a little windy, and it wasn't really that that special or anything out of the ordinary. And so when we showed them our pictures and videos, they couldn't believe what we experienced, and the fact that we were outside to endure what happened there. So yeah, like people don't believe that, or wouldn't believe that that's even possible to happen in Ontario. Like when you see all these windstorms or crazy things that happen to us here, you think it's somewhere in like Oklahoma or something in the States where they're more tornado prone, not basically 45 minutes away from Toronto.
Yeah. And even I got a text from one of my friends, and he said, well, normally this would happen like June and July when the weather's like really, really hot, not like May. Like it just seemed like a kind of a weird time for it to happen. But, you know, like the whole incident itself is kind of just a freak accident. It's probably the best way to sum it up. So anyone got anything else?
No, other than I saw some stuff like you briefly mentioned from Mosport. There were the car races at Mosport for the Victoria Speed Fest weekend or something like that. They had like the NASCAR Pinty series there, the FEL, the Radical series, all of that stuff. And you see some pictures and video from there, and they got it just like we got it. All their tents were knocked over. They're like big racks of like car slicks are knocked over. Apparently lots of people got injured from that because there's even heavier objects at the car track than the go-kart track. And yeah, apparently they got it pretty bad there too. Actually at the entrance to the car track at Mosport, there was a truck with a camper trailer on the back, and it got completely flipped over.
And it was a big one, so it must have been
It was
heavy,
a big one too.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
So
And just like you mentioned earlier, Adrian, if our trailers were like parked the other way, you know, versus head on to the wind, if they were parked like the wind coming onto the side of the trailers, there could have been some trailers flipped there for sure.
Yeah, and still trailers were moving even with the direction that they were in. So
yeah.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
like our Karts and Parts trailer is a V-nose, right? So it's aerodynamic. The wind was coming onto the like the most aerodynamic part of the trailer, and the trailer was still being pushed backwards with that. Like it was crazy. And to deroot those trees like that, like that's insane. Did you see
Yeah,
how big
exactly.
some of the roots were? Like
Yeah,
some of the
Yeah,
roots were the
huge.
size
Yeah.
of like a tree trunk.
Like
Like
those
yeah,
trees
it
have been
was
there for
insane.
years, man. Those are huge trees.
I
Yeah,
think
I'm
since like good and
sad we're
open,
gonna
so it's like
yeah. We're gonna lose our shade on the grid now. It's gonna be a hot
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah. Oh boy. Is
Hopefully
it
we
ever,
get
man.
some more trees. I want more trees.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
hopefully something like in a way it might give them some more ad space, like maybe put some signs there or something. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Maybe
We need
expand the
them
grid a little
to
bit.
put
Who
a big
knows?
Yeah.
tent over the grid now.
Yeah, exactly.
Give us some
So,
shade.
Yeah.
Put some fans up.
so I mean,
Yeah, expanding the grid's not a bad idea actually
no,
too now.
not bad at all. So you never know what can be the best of a storm, but what can you do? So all right.
Yeah.
I think everybody's said their piece in this one. So I believe this will mark the end of part 2 of episode 4 of the Racing Topic podcast. Ethan, Adrian, Michael, Jake, thank you again for coming on to this thing and expressing what we all probably saw the craziest moment of our life and our life flashing before our eyes for some of us. So yeah, we'll definitely put some clips and everything in this edition of the podcast to show you guys. And another thing that I also want to promote coming up is I will be sooner or later shooting a documentary on what happened here. I will use a bunch of footage that hopefully I've already asked for some footage from, and some nice people have already given it to me. Jake, Michael, Ethan, Adrian, you guys have also contributed to that. So thank you for that. I need to conduct some interviews, of course, with the DeLeos and a bunch of people that were at the track, and, you know, where were they when this whole thing happened? So I'll get into production on that, and that'll hopefully come out down the road and soon, hot off the heels of this. Well, it's still fresh, but yeah. So for everybody, thank you again for listening to this edition to the Racing Topic Pod. Oh my God, the Racing Topic Podcast. Completely botched the ending there, but anyway, I'm Chad Webster. Until then, everybody, please, y'all take it easy, and we'll see you next time.